What's going on, guys? Today we are here in Grom Garage. We have a special guest, so please welcome Tyler to the garage. Thanks for coming. So today we're going to be looking at his bike. I thought these videos would be really cool and something new and fresh for you guys. So we're going to start looking at a couple of the local guys' bikes. First off, I wanted to start with Tyler because he is one of the OG guys. He's been around forever. So wanted to start off with his bike. So I guess first thing, did you get it used? Did you get it new? You know, what did you do with all that?
So back in 2016, I was in the market for a Grom. I spent about 9 months overseas. I was deployed at the time, just watching Full Again.
Wanting to do wheelies and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as soon as I came back, I thought about getting a Grom. I started looking on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and I ended up finding this one on Craigslist for $2,500, and it had 600 miles on it. It was completely stock. The only thing it had was a Yoshimura RS9 slip-on exhaust. Other than that, it was completely stock. It was in great condition. It was essentially a brand new bike.
And I'm trying to think now, it was red, wasn't it?
Yes,
when you first
it
got
was red.
I remember him dropping it the first couple times and like seeing little red marks and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you have done a crazy amount to it. I mean, I would say name everything, but there is a lot done to this bike. I guess what's your key things? What do you really like? Obviously, he built it for stunting more than anything. But what do you recommend? Like, what about the handlebars and the different setup? What do you like?
So the main thing I like about this bike is that it's the OG Grom. So it has the flat seat. That's probably one of my favorite things because I can literally sit anywhere on the seat without being uncomfortable, while the SF Grom, you have the little hump right here, so you're kind of forced to sit more towards the front.
Yeah.
And when doing wheelies, I feel more comfortable sitting somewhere about right here.
Yeah, and on the SF, like you say, it forces you to sit up. The only thing nice about it is it holds you in.
Yes.
But other than that, it's not that bad. And the OG seat is honestly pretty grippy compared to like those Bride seats, which are super freaking slick. But yeah, what else you got going on? Obviously, that's the stock seat. You got handlebars. Do you like the handlebars? What are they, KLX 110s?
So I went with the ATV Mid Pro Tapers.
Okay.
They sit a little bit lower than the KLX 110s, but they do sit just as wide as the KLX 110s, so you can still fit, you know, your one finger clutch, your handbrake,
Yeah.
and then also still have the control switch on there. It is an aftermarket control switch, but I don't see a regular OEM control switch. I don't see any issues with that not fitting with these handlebars.
Yeah, just maybe a tight squeeze, but then again, if you did that, that would probably throw everything over, and then you'd start having issues of trying to reach everything with your fingers and everything like that. So, but yeah, okay. So these are a little bit lower than the KLX 110, so that's a good one, and you like those? Okay. What do you think about, obviously you got all the axle sliders, and I think we did a video about that now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. But we have the axle sliders, the pegs, you know, all of it ZZ Customs. What do you think about all that? Obviously it's seen some road rash. What do you think about all that kind of stuff?
So all the ZZ parts paired with the Get Bent Design subcage, honestly I think this is the three main pieces you need if you want to stunt your Grom and protect it, because I've not had a single issue with having these three pieces. The rear sets, I've never had issues with them. They've protected my exhaust, they've protected the foot brake on the other side, my shift lever. I've never broke any of that stuff. The only time I've broke anything in that area was when I ran stock rear sets.
Oh, yeah. Breaking like shifters and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I gotcha. And yeah, yours has the passenger peg where mine doesn't, so that kind of protects the exhaust a little bit better. And you can definitely see while you're looking at the bike too, you could see like everywhere where it's hit on the side, but it hasn't really hit all the plastics, which kind of shows that it's doing its job. You know, this isn't bent all in everywhere. Nope. So that's definitely doing its job. So Well, I guess that's for the stunt parts. I mean, what about the exhaust? I know the exhaust is it the new Zoom exhaust or is it just a Zoom?
So this is the Zoom Brute exhaust. This is the exhaust that they created that for people who run these rear sets.
That stunt, basically.
That stunt. And honestly, this exhaust, it keeps it out of the way. So if you drop the bike, you're not damaging your exhaust. It mounts just to the bottom of the engine.
Yeah, with those Yoshis, they have the muffler right here, and you just can't mount it because the stock mounting is how they mount. So, yeah, exactly. I see what you're saying. So, and you haven't had any issues with that at all, or?
No. So far, this has been my favorite exhaust, even over I used to run a Competition Works exhaust, and I like this one a lot more than that one.
And when you say the Competition Works is a little bit louder, like
yes.
I remember it was loud as crap, which, for stunting is not too big of a deal, but if you plan on like stunting and not bringing so much attention to yourself, it makes for a little bit of a problem. But then again, now we ride in huge groups, so it doesn't really matter because somebody's going to be making the noise. But yeah, well, obviously one of the big differences for looks wise is you have the whole camo thing. So what is all the camo stuff that you've got going on here? I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, so I've always been a big fan of like the Arctic white camo look. So my buddy got the idea that I was in the Army with. He does tattoos now outside of the Army, and he was getting into airbrushing at the time. So he offered me a solution to change the color from red to this. He asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, could you do like an Arctic white camo theme on the paint? And he's like, sure, I could do that. And he did it for free just because he wanted to experiment and practice himself.
Well, I mean, it came out awesome, though. I mean, it's definitely different than any other Grom around here because that's one of the issues. All the main colors eventually get taken by people, and you just see the same thing over and over and over again. So
it's hard to miss.
Yeah, and then I know you've added the, I think it's grip tape with the snow camo theme going on, and then I guess skateboard grip tape is all it is, right? Now, what's the I guess foam stuff? You got it here. You got it kind of like random places here and there. What is this?
So this is just HT Moto. It's the HydroTurf. So it's mainly meant for, a lot of people use it for when they do their like dented in tanks on like sport bikes.
So it's like a grippy material, basically.
Yes. So it's supposed to be soft but grippy.
Okay.
And you can put it anywhere. And I've just put them on random places just because I like the way it looks.
Just accessorize it, yeah.
Making it my own.
Make it a little more camo, which then again, it never snows here. But if it ever snowed, we wouldn't be able to find this bike. But yeah. Well, what else you got going on? I mean, you got a LED headlight here. That's just basically a simple headlight. Is that an extra headlight, or did you replace the stock headlight?
So on the headlight, it's a LED bulb.
On this,
which still retains the factory low beam and high beam, and then on top I added a little 6-inch just LED light bar, and I just wired it to a switch over here. It's on the actual fairing.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just as bright as the ones that I have, which I have 3, which is overkill, but that's probably a lot brighter. And do you run with that all the time, or you just kind of run with that whenever you need it?
So if you ever see like any of the off-roading videos that Kyle does, and if they're at nighttime, that's usually when I use it.
Yeah.
And I can angle it up and down, so if I need to see like the trails a lot further ahead, that thing comes in handy.
And it turns with your handlebars, so that way if you turn and all that kind of stuff, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. I'm trying to look at other things that we could talk about. I mean, I see you got the grips that I recommended you.
Yes, I love those grips. Kyle recommended those, and
they're really nice. So I was thinking about doing the grips on the FZ07 and doing the hand warmers because I was like, oh, I need that. I actually said in one of the last videos that I needed those. I looked it up. I thought you could get like a hand warmer and put it up under the grip, but I found out you have to replace the grip. I refuse. I'm just going to get gloves because I love these grips so freaking much. I really don't want to replace them. But okay. Was there anything else? Obviously, I know you got the handbrake set up. What have you got for all that? You got a Magura up here, stainless steel line going down, and then P32?
So I used to run the P32 for the handbrake.
Okay.
And then I wanted more because I like to do scrapes. And the P32 just didn't give me enough confidence to bring it back. I felt like I was having to grab way too much brake just to barely bring it back. So went with the P34, and I have to, I don't have to press it as hard to bring it back. So there's a lot more confidence gained.
Is it more
with the
touchy?
P34?
Is it more so would you maybe not recommend it for a beginner just because it's so touchy, or you'll get used to it eventually?
I would still recommend it since it's a stock rotor kit. If it was a big rotor kit with the P34 and maybe a more serious handbrake that might cause you to mousetrap, something like that, I probably wouldn't recommend for a beginner. But for a beginner, this is like the setup that I would recommend.
Okay.
If you're trying to get into it.
Yeah, and I know you were talking about scraping. I know you added because it's the first gen get bent design subcage.
Yes.
They didn't have the titanium scrape plate. They didn't have the sliders on the side. You still don't have sliders on the side, but you did weld on a titanium plate, so that way it basically can scrape, and you're not scraping the crap out of it. Which I know, like, you scraped the crap out of it already, and then you had to weld it and fix all that.
Yeah.
So you got the Impact Tech. What do you think about that?
It's an awesome lever. I like the Impact Tech. It's super smooth. It's really comparable to the RSC.
Okay, that's what I run now. I did run the RSC, but I didn't like it after I tried the Impact Tech, just because it was a little bit easier. But
yeah, you can't go wrong with Impact Tech.
Yeah, either one really. I mean, either one's fine. So, okay. Can you think of anything else? Any other parts that you want to talk about? Anything that you maybe wouldn't recommend or would recommend?
So definitely the oil pump mod. Everybody runs the oil pump mod and the clutch springs, everything that's in here. So I run the Coso clutch plate with the Coso clutch springs, and then I run the straight up pumps OEM modified oil pump. I used to run the high flow pump, and I had issues where my airbox was getting overfilled with oil.
It just builds up a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I switched to the OEM, and it fixed everything, and no issues whatsoever.
Okay. I did notice one thing too. You have stainless steel lines on everything, so that definitely helps out with brake feel, which actually you don't have it on the front. But for the rear and the handbrake, which is what you do in wheelies, obviously you got stainless steel lines, which I honestly recommend for anybody trying to do wheelies. Like whenever I get on somebody's bike and they don't have stainless steel lines, it feels terrible. So that's something I definitely recommend. But yeah, other than that, do you have anything done to your forks? I'm trying to remember now.
Oh yeah,
$15
that's right.
fork mod?
So with my bike, one of the other guys ordered the Olin's fork kit, I believe. Okay. And it came with a softer spring. And what he did was he took my stock springs out and he put the Olin's slightly, they're stiffer than the OEM springs. We put that in there with heavier fork weight, and then we did the fork mod as well. And
okay, so you did the $15 fork mod, and you also did thicker oil. And then you put in the springs for the Olin's. I run those springs as well. You can get them from Hard Racing is where I got mine.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much the exact setup. But I know what you're saying. When you buy the full kit, it comes with both sets of springs, so you just use the set that he didn't use. So no bottoming out issues, I guess.
No. So after that, I've never had an issue with bottoming out. It is stiff though, so if you're coming down from a wheelie, sometimes it feels a lot stiffer than a stock Grom.
But at the same time, with how me and Tyler ride, we do wheelies constantly as well as just off-roading, and like you've gone off jumps and stuff in videos, so just completely stupid stuff. But yeah. I think that's it. I'm trying to look at like other parts to talk about, but I don't think there's anything else, necessarily crazy or anything.
Maybe the PSD chain adjusters. Okay. Those make life easier.
So you like those a lot? Okay.
Yeah, and then this is actually the first mod I did was the man in the box fender eliminator with the integrated taillight. The
little strip. Now, do you recommend it? Because I know you've had some small issues with it, or do you?
So this one, LEDs are starting to go out, but I've had this bike for over 3 years with.
And you beat the hell out of it, so.
And they offered me to replace the integrated taillight. I think it was like $50, which is honestly a good deal. Like I think I got my money's worth for for how much I beat this bike up.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell just for, like the marks on the sub cage and, just the marks everywhere where you just beat it up. But yeah, that's the main thing about the Groms. They're so cheap that you can kind of beat it up and have fun. And then the big bike you take care of.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, all right. Well, I think that's going to be it. I guess if there's anything else, definitely leave the questions down in the comment section below. Got Tyler's number, so if you guys have any questions, I'm going to message him and annoy the crap out of him and try to figure out answers to those questions. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I appreciate you for coming out.
Thanks.
And yeah, awesome bike. And I guess come back next week or whenever I do another one of these. I have somebody already lined up to do another one, so I think this is going to be pretty cool to do, just kind of looking at people's bikes and stuff like that. So especially because if they do recommend or don't recommend something, that would help out a lot of people. So anyways, all right, guys, I'll see you next week.
Adios.